share and tell?
Not a share and tell. In front of the whole school, they do like a parade.
Oh,
So he's going to parade in front of the whole school wearing this Little Mermaid costume that he's absolutely in love with. And Ben's like worried.
Right. And understandably, like we should say for Ben that his probably first reaction is like, I don't want my child to be hurt. I don't want them to become the focus of ridicule.
Yes.
And which is totally understandable, but it is the first stop on the train.
Yes.
And it's the easiest stop to get off on. And when you get off on that stop on the train, you're hurt. The kid is the one who absorbs the pain of your of that poor. That's a poor choice. It's a mistake to not let your kid express themselves honestly. So I understand it. I completely kind of understand it. And the fact that he like worked through it, and thank God you're there as your advocate.
He didn't have a choice. It was my kid's wearing what he wants to wear.
Exactly.
So, yeah, but that's him. That's me telling him this is going to happen.
Right.
And we're not stopping it.
But for a reason.
For a
it's
reason.
It's not like
yes.
I'm right, you're wrong.
No,
it's like,
yes, for a
in
reason.
In the bigger picture,
and
you want to raise a child who trusts themselves, who loves themselves.
And I do have to bring this up. This is huge. This hasn't been just me. This has been his teachers. Because when this happened, I made a meeting. I sat down with the teacher and I said, my son is about to wear a Little Mermaid dress for the parade. And he was getting a little bit of bullying before this. And I just said, I want you to know this is going to happen. And she, she gave me a reassurance too. I'm trying to collaborate. Like the community that I've put him in has been, I've created it. If there's something that, like, he was supposed to go, we're involved with our church. We love our church, and our church has been so loving. I've even talked with them just with this instant, and one of the members said, maybe just take him to the mall. Just see how he'll feel in public. They're giving me ideas. This has been a community that we've created, and if there's something that I don't feel comfortable with, I'll just say, I'll bid adieu, and for now, let's just keep this. Let's keep the community where he's not just, accepted, but also celebrated.
Absolutely. It isn't just enough to be tolerated or accepted, but we deserve to be celebrated. All people do. Yeah. I'm curious what has been so you recognize, even in California, in a progressive school that you're in this environment that you're in, you see the uphill battle here. So you know what it's like back home in Indiana and other states, the world and all around the world. You know this challenge that parents are facing off with. What strength, what would you tell them to encourage them to listen to their children, to support their children's natural way of being? What experiences or stories can you relate to that show you this is right? Like he is growing up to be a more self-loving, more mentally healthy young man. Well,
first of all, I've got to say this. And also I can't just simplifying the parenting. You have to listen to your kid. And I know, there's all these outside things telling you, make sure they're safe, make sure that they fit in this and that, and they'll have a better life. But if you tell them to do this now, their future's not going to be authentic. Their future's not going to be authentic. And I think at the end of the day, all we want for our kids is happiness, true happiness. How are you going to get your kid ready for an authentic life, a happy life? Well, they're not going to have an authentic life if you're going to teach them that, this is the way you're going to have to be. You have to. It's tough choices, and I know it's a little bit easier for me to say in California, in LA, this is what I'm doing. But I guess another thing I could say is I've actually DM'd with some teens on Instagram, and it's not the parent. But the only thing that I can tell them, and it's heartbreaking, is you'll get through this.
Right.
You don't have a choice right now. There's a lot of teens that are just stuck. they you know, they're a part of their situation is just being in a horrible atmosphere.
Right.
And I just tell them, wait this out. Wait this out. You can make it. You can make it through this. And I'm really thinking about like their lives, their life or death. They're at, you know, some were at that point.
Exactly.
So I know I'm going all over, but I guess what I'm saying is it gets better. Live.
Right.
I mean, that sounds so sad that I have to say that. Live.
But it is live authentically. Live.
Yeah.
Let them. Yeah.
Very small. I know everybody, and it was huge. And I tried to get more information about it. I couldn't get much information, and I had to sit down and tell him, "We're not going to do the sleepover because I don't know what they're teaching."
Right.
And I told him straight up, "I don't want anyone telling you that how you are is wrong."
Oh. It's so powerful what you're doing.
And he was.
And he probably was pissed. He was like, I want to go to the same party. And we're like, listen, parenting, protecting and preparing goes both ways.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just so encouraging to hear a mom so engaged in their child's life that they know what, like, I can put the rewind button on my life and think of asking my mom, I want to go to this big slumber party thing at this church. And okay, well, who's going? Oh, okay. All right. That's it. That was like it. She didn't need to have any more. And that's just the time that I grew up in.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason people who are like so fervent, like viciously fighting for traditional ways and values, they are clinging to the ease that it is when there's a binary, when there's just one or the other. It makes it very easy. Oh, that's feeling that way is wrong. Yeah. It's so much easier to tell someone else the way they feel is wrong rather than accepting the way that you've been taught to perceive
Question
their feelings
yourself.
Is what's really wrong.
To dive into yourself and into your learning and unlearn. Yeah.
And it cannot be understated that you are building the foundation and the building blocks of your child's mental health.
Yeah.
Like you are creating for them all of their feelings about themselves. Like you're contributing to how they're going to appreciate themselves in this world.
Yes.
And that is what ultimately becomes the, like, you know, the sword that protects them. Like that self-awareness, that self-knowledge. Like my mom and I know who I am. I don't need your approval. That's the truth. But I would love to share with you about my journey so that maybe your story of what it means to be approved or approvable worthy, whatever that is, evolves. Because I'm the one saying this, and I know everybody in this room agrees, it's no longer okay to just say, oh, we just have a difference of opinion. Like, it's not a difference of opinion. There is a right and a wrong here. And it is wrong to raise your children to pretend. If you're teaching your kids that who they are is not hurting anybody in the world, and you're teaching them that that is a thing worthy of hiding or being in the shadows, you're teaching them to pretend. You're teaching them to live a double life, and they are going to have to undo all of that in their adulthood if they are lucky. Yeah. And unfortunately, the ones that aren't lucky, and I put this on the people around suicidal trans kids, suicidal bisexual kids, suicidal gays, LGBTQ plus youth, at an alarming rate is a much higher suicide rate. That is not because of who they are. It's because of society teaching them to hate themselves. If more moms taught them to love themselves, there would be a lower suicide rate. Like, that's just true.
Didn't Jesus teach to love everyone no matter
That's exactly right.
what?
Yes.
Jesus was
right?
like,
Jesus was like,
if you read the Bible, he always hung out with the sinners. He knew where the party was.
He's hanging out with like the lepers and stuff. Like,
I'm pretty sure Jesus was gay too. I mean,
yeah,
you saw those abs. Never married. Come on. All right. I joke. I jest because we can. I am so touched by today's show. Like, genuinely, thank you for coming in. I think we have a mutual love fest going on.
Yes.
I hope that someday in the future when they want to, you'll bring your kids into, and we'll do something fun with them. And Ben, I welcome the conversation. I think it's beautiful. What we're sharing with the public and with the world is important and valuable. And that is that. Am I forgetting anything? Because I want to make sure I honor everybody.
So. I just think it's so important that we hear from, because I feel like all we hear lately is the negative and what's going wrong, which is important to discuss. But hearing a mom today that's doing these steps that we know are going to change people's lives.
And how did that makes me want to ask the question, how did it go? Like because of your great mothering and you're fiercely fighting for Raju's chance to wear that Little Mermaid dress in this parade. How with all of your work and your conversations and love, how did it go for him?
For the parade? Fine.
Good.
Yeah. He rocked it. And then he wore it for Halloween and
Love it.
Yeah. And he wore that probably 5 or 6 times. He wore it for his birthday. Yeah.
Love it.
And all it caused was joy.
Yes. That was the product. Joy.
Oh, squish, squish, darling. Squish, squish. I didn't even get to my tucking garment.
Yeah, have to wait. Anita will go into it.
Anita Doll is much more prepared to talk about clothing on Thursday. I am so proud of today's show, and I love you both so much. Thank you so much, Kitten, for being here and sharing your story and your truth. And thank you, Mariah, obviously, as always. We are going to go into another little break here, and when we come back, we are launching one Miss Angelica Perman, the Angelica Perman Show. You know her and love her as the sexy psychic to the stars and your favorite clairvoyant, medium, and intuitive / musician and sound healer. Her show launches from the comfort and vulnerability of her home studio bedroom right after this next drag queen mindful moment. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to follow us, subscribe, check out our notifications. Go to TikTok.
All the things.
We're on Patreon. You could be our first Patreon subscriber. I mean, we will definitely say your name. Sign up.
True.
We love it.
Shout you out.
Thank you. That's all of us at GGT. Have a wonderful time. Next up on the